name is Thabo, and an interesting fact about me is that this week I heard Ariana Grande Good Night and Go for the first time. And that right there is the kind of life that I want to experience right now.
Hello everyone, my name is Sive. Interesting fact about me is that I need to clarify something. Last week I was a bit vague. I am indeed single. I just don't like sharing struggles, but I am single.
So guys, grab a cup of tea,
grab a cup of coffee,
and queer me out. Just a trigger warning, guys. This week's episode is going to be quite an emotionally intense one because we're going to be reflecting on... You make me sick. We're going to be reflecting on a part of our lives in which many queer people go through, and Sive will tell you what we are going to talk about today.
As the video suggests, it is an outing. So this week we're going to talk about coming out. We're going to talk about coming out to yourself, coming out to the world.
Yeah.
But let's do it properly.
All right.
You know? So the first part we're going to start with is coming out to yourself.
All right.
Coming to terms with being queer.
Okay. I think that is the journey that most people go through. So like, how did you know at first that like, Ngithanda abafana and I am not what society expectation is.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, it started, like your adolescent phase.
Okay.
Elo gets uncomfortable. We're having those weird conversations.
True. Like that's literally Elo.
And, there's this theme, and even your friends, like the conversations regarding the kind of person you're attracted to, the people you're attracted to.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And you might feel left out. I remember for me, it was a case where I was just like, okay, I don't get the hype though.
Yes, I feel, I share the same sentiment. When it talked about like, who are you attracted to and everything, I just felt uncomfortable. I just felt a sense of uncomfortability every time boys express their love for girls. Because it's just like, why are you going to say like that? Like, also, it just like made me feel out of place, right?
Yeah.
And I think the biggest problem then with that was that the minute I said this level of uncomfortability, I tried to shift away the conversation from my sexuality, which is quite common in the queer community. Like a lot of us at that point of our lives, we try to shift away that whole notion like, okay, I don't want people to focus on my sexuality. For example, with myself, the minute I understood that I was queer, I wanted to shift the whole narrative about Thabo Rathaba, the queer boy, to Thabo Rathaba, the excellent boy. Ooh. I started delving myself deep into work. I started, number one, academics. I made sure that I was top of the grade. Definitely that came natural because being a bad bee from birth. But however, I started putting more effort into my academics to ensure that I'm at the top of the grade. And I realized at some point, academia was not enough. I started doing debates. Like, I made sure every second month you catch me on this, like the local newspaper, sometimes national, because I've been meaning, I've been a baddie for like that. And like, I just overcompensated in just hard work and excellence because I just wanted to shift that focus. Yeah.
I think avoidance is a real thing, hey?
True.
So similar. I mean, for me, when I started encountering this dilemma.
Yeah.
And I remember the time, there was a time in high school where everyone started talking about, oh, that girl is thick, she got ass. And I could not engage in those conversations.
Yes, like...
And, you start realizing, I am different to my situation, to
the space that you're in.
To my setup. And you look in the environment where people who are also different, how are they treated? How are they looked at? And I did not want that for myself. I honestly did not want to be labeled in that way. And so the decision I made as well, like Thabo said, is I became a workaholic.
Yeah.
I threw myself. I mean, I was telling you,
that's kind of heavy on the emotions. Let's keep it.
I would arrive at school at 7 o'clock in the morning, only to leave at 7 o'clock in the evening. 10-hour days, Monday to Thursday, Fridays I'll leave at like 6. Because I was so involved.
Listen, let me tell you, I know this is going to come across very weird. I had the biggest bag at school. And that's the one thing people would literally use to identify me.
Yeah.
It was never my... Like, you see, there were so many elements of myself. Obviously, most of these came natural. It was not like a conscious decision to be like, oh my gosh, so what am I going to do? But because of the space, I literally found myself just pushing myself into this unhealthy way of coping, which is unfair because I feel like as children we should all be granted the opportunity to just explore ourselves without having to shrink ourselves, without having to minimize ourselves or have this unhealthy way of coping with our true self. You get?
But let's not pretend that space or any space, in fact, is in fact comforting, natural, welcoming to thoughts that are different to the status quo. For me, I think I made the decision in high school that I'm not going to enter relationships. I'm not going to date. For the longest time, I thought I was trying to be serious about my work. But like now when I look back, the only reason I was avoiding it, I didn't want to participate in that because my idea of my ideology when it came to romance was completely different.
And to what is currently happening around you. So.
I realized that it's just, it was so unhealthy. It was honestly unhealthy.
So, friend, let's not dwell on the negatives. So, one thing that I'm starting to see from our conversation right now is that the spaces we both found ourselves in, which was school, because that's where we spend most of our times. I mean, I can relate to going to school. I was always at school at 6:30. People who are from my hood would tell you they'll see me walking home every time after 6 p.m. That time school knocked off at 2:30. So I can relate to most of our times was spent at school. Do you think the school itself was welcoming of queerness? I don't know, should I go first? Do you want to go first?
I'll take it. I went to an all boys school. And
I'm sorry, girl.
I'm not going to even get into the complexities of that. There's a lot of things that are said about all boys schools or whatever. And for me, the best thing I could do at the time was honestly focus on what's next for me. That was what motivated me most of the time. My schooling environment was complex. It was super complex, Do
you want to share a bit of the complexity, without going into longer?
I learned it in high school. I'll mention a few things. I learned it in high school that, being gay by association.
Which is a very problematic phenomenon people actually still have today, even in safer spaces like uni.
The first thing I had to do was, I did it. This is my story. I would avoid other queer people. I did not want to engage with other... No, I avoided it until grade 10. And in grade 10, it was a burning urge that you need to ask questions. You need to know this. And I started doing that. And the response from the greater school populace was... when I started being associated, Tomiako, and I remember I was like, you saw me one time at break with this person, please. I am Sive Nsunguzi, the academic, the choir member, the steel band player, I did a lot of things in high school, my goodness. But
I don't know, girl.
That was what I was. And from the school, the funniest thing is how there were people at my school who looked at me, and they knew. Which I'm not gonna do. Are we dwelling into that?
No, let's not. Okay. Let's not dwell into that.
And they started becoming activists for it. During my matric year, I became more invested in school life, and dramas of this were you're doing a lot. And running for prefect, I couldn't be in a relationship. Not that I wanted one, number one. And I remember a friend of mine saying, Sive, get into relationships. And I was like, are you stupid?
Shame.
I need to be known as Sive, Sive excellence, not
what?
You may queer. Sorry.
You may and I think it's crazy that Steven, you and I come from different backgrounds. We come from different schooling experiences, but our dilemmas are literally the same.
The same.
Because with my case, this is where the complexity comes of queerness and just how society tells you how queerness is bad. My school had queer people, queer people, and I think when I look back into my identity and me understanding myself, they're my icons. Beyonce, Fernando, Apimpo, Mato. Shout out, because
they were way ahead of your time.
They were way ahead of themselves. Regardless of how they were treated at the school, they lived their truth. And I remember in the previous grades, before I've ever interacted with them, because I only interacted with some of them in matric, they used to be treated differently by different teachers, which was one of the reasons I'm never coming out. A lot of teachers treated their queerness as a mockery to the rest of us. You see a teacher be outright nice to Beyonce, for example, because Beyonce was quite the socialite. And the teacher would be like so nice, oh, hi, Tabang, ha, ha, ha. This is like Beyonce's say, is sent by another teacher to come to your class. Straight after Beyonce leaves, the teacher's gonna drop a mockery comment about Beyonce. And it's like, that is not what I want for myself. I don't want to enter a room and straight after I leave a room, my sexuality is made a joke out of.
And it's discussed.
You see? It is like a mockery of some sort, to a point where I don't want to admit this, but I think I also avoided people I knew were outright queer, and I never wanted to be associated with them.
100%.
Because it was like, I am just going to be reduced to queerness. And that is what I'm saying right now. If you call me Thabo the gay, duh, fucking hell yeah, that's what I am. And if you don't see anything beyond that, I'm not going to try to prove myself. Because I understand that back then, I didn't want to be minimized to gayness because gayness was made to be bad. Gayness was made to be seen as a sin.
Yeah.
As like, you shouldn't be experiencing that. You need cleansing. You need prayer. You need to find God or anything of some sort. So that's why I never wanted to be minimized to Thabo the gay. But right now,
it's okay.
Go off.
For me, I think with that being said, and I also went when I started engaging with it more, and I was like, I'm looking at this now. This is something that is happening. And I remember having a rant in grade 10 with a therapist, my therapist.
Yeah.
Love her. And I said to her, I don't want to be reduced to Sive the gay as well, because there's so many facets to who I am.
As people, we exist more than our sexuality.
I'm doing so much, and you're going to reduce all of my achievements, my accomplishments, my work ethic to me just being gay, like what I do in the bedroom. You're even shagging me, please. You don't know me like that.
You don't know me like, you've never seen me on my knees, baby. Relax. I never said you go on your knees. I never said you go on your knees.
You said you go on your knees.
Okay, I mean, I'll take that. Okay, so now, friend, what I'm saying is that the spaces we're in were never welcoming. So what is your way of affirming your sexuality without ever letting people in? So what is your, like, ways you navigated, like, you know what, I'm gay, but I never want you guys to focus on what was your ways of, like, saying to the world, I'm coming out.
I want the world to... It was a secret. It was a secret in that I felt like I was living a double life.
Ooh.
It was a double life. And Monday to Saturday, I am dedicated to school life.
Yeah.
Everything I did and do was to my schoolwork, my school life, extramurals and all of that. But then I think it got to a point where I started engaging with other queer people. Yeah. And I had a friend, shout out, who studied at Rhodes University, and
I wish every queer person has that, yeah?
You know, I look back now when I got into first year, and I praise him so much with you guys in that.
Yeah.
He felt like a mentor. He felt like my queer mentor in that.
Yeah.
I could go there and I still ask questions and hear him out, and he introduced me to a lot of other queer people as well, and they were all very like, this is how you should go about it, and they gave me knowledge to understand things. But for the most part, it was a separate life thing, because as much as I loved him, and I still love him now, you know, it was a case of, it only got to the point when I was in matric. Yeah. I was comfortable to be seen out with him because he was very expressive as well.
You know, I hear the part of a double life, and I think this is where the emotional labor that a lot of gay people go through. And this is the first time I'm ever going to say this on a public platform, but I had a separate Facebook profile where I was actually engaging with the gay community in my town, where I had a whole new identity. You could never trace it back to myself. You could never trace it back to me. Because it was like, even like when, I would know when someone is gay. That's why I developed the gaydar to be like, oh, you have these mutuals, then you are gay.
Yes.
You see,
you start noticing those patterns and lessons. Yes.
I literally delved very deep into the DL community, and people didn't even know, but I knew them.
You knew them. And that is the thing. It's like you're engaging with these people, but also at the same time, you know, just side note, it was so interesting how I was anonymous. I never shared pictures. I never shared any of that.
True.
But these people were so willing to open up.
Exactly. Because I feel like that is a thing. Gayness, in spaces where it's not welcome, we are forced to treat it like a cult. And this is so sad, that a true identity of who we are has to be treated like a cult. Right? And like we were just saying now, we're in spaces that are not welcoming. Because I remember with myself, one of the ways I affirmed my sexuality, especially in the school, because I was part of the school leadership, I started speaking for gay rights. I was never out, but I spoke against it. If like a specific scenario was at matric camp, when the queers approached me, they're like, we don't feel comfortable sleeping in a room full of boys because not all of the boys treat them good.
Yes.
Other boys are very rude and everything.
Yes,
And I was like, to the headmaster, y'all need to make a plan for them. Like, they need to get a separate room. Because I believe in every space, especially schools, queers should have the ability to like have that safe space.
I'm so like proud of you, and I mean I can't express it like.
Yeah.
But for me, I did something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
I avoided queerness like COVID. Social distancing. To the point where in my matric as being part of the leadership team, I didn't address any of those things. I didn't want to be associated with it in any way and form. It was a case where I made the decision, you will explore this part of you after the space.
Okay.
I dedicated my time in my high school to things like upliftment of the youth, upliftment of community. Listen, you will never find me doing anything queer.
Yeah.
But there was a time where this is, I guess, with affirming my sexuality, was leaving matric. I started seeing the next generation of students and leaders, and I could see, after everything, looking back, these kids are expressing themselves already. They are in their space, they're owning it.
One thing about the 2000s, I know I'm one of you, but you're high.
My opinion was kind of like, and this is the truth, I want to say stop. Hide it and focus on all the other aspects of yourself, because this is how you're going to succeed. But at the same time, I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
These kids are amazing, and I want to shout out to all of them. I love them, but I can't even remember what class of grade they are. But what I saw what they did was they ran with it. They still own their queerness and all these other facets of their life. That was just my 2 cents. Keep going.
So now, you see when you mentioned changing of spaces, we went from high school, then we get to uni, and both of us are at an all-boys residence. How was that experience for you? I don't know, like, do you want to go first, or should I?
Coming from a high school
of all boys, actually, yeah, that's quite interesting.
What happened for me was when I got to that res.
You can say his name, baby. That's where you live. The Lions.
The Lions!
The Lions, baby.
Yeah. I think for me it was coming from an old boys school and going to that. In my head, I had decided, okay, this is my time to interact with my sexuality and come out.
Yeah.
But then what ended up happening was the cultures were too similar. They were the same. They were same things. And I was terrified. There was that one night, the welcoming, the official welcoming.
Yeah.
All the important people in the res. I made the decision that I was like, go back to the closet, your mom. Take your clothes out, put them on your bed, you're staying in the closet.
Listen, you see with me, that welcoming night, I was sitting there hoping to just see a queer person. Because it was so hard to see who's queer. That's the first thing.
Yes.
And even I remember one of the speeches they said, when you're having a fire alarm and you don't come out with a girl, I'm going to be disappointed. I'm like, number one.
Oh gosh.
There shouldn't be anybody in your room after midnight.
That's the rules.
2. There's like tata pintomba.
Hey.
Oh, like I am not going to lie. Like I just wanted the world to swallow me open. I remember I texted my mom. I told my mom about that experience. I was like, I don't know, but like this makes me very uncomfortable in that it's like I'm policed to be heterosexual. But I didn't say that to my mom. I didn't say I'm being policed to be heterosexual.
Yes.
But I was like, Mama, like, I don't know how to feel about that statement. Also, like, there's so much culture of alcohol here. This is scary. I'm new to the university space, for God's sake, So I was like, to myself, I was like, okay, so are we going to pull up the straight act? For how long?
I want to ask.
I'm not getting an Oscar.
For me, I was told, no, this was the decision I made. Baby, you were closeted for 12 years, like in high school. You can do another 3. What's another 3?
And I think, now the crazy thing is that the only time I started then being comfortable at the residence specifically, which is all male-bodied, was when I made friends with you guys. And I just met like, I met like queer people. Then I could be like, I'm queer. But even then, I was never fully honest with them.
True.
That's the thing. Like,
I lied a lot.
I lied a lot about my identity because I still had to unlearn small town mentality. I'm gonna call it out. Welcome is a small town.
So is Grandsta.
I had to unlearn the small town mentality, and I feel that my existence in that residence specifically was such a protest. I always existed to shake them. That blue color hair was not just color.
I thought
It was yes, that too. Let's not mention that. But that formed as a protest because it's not heteronormative to have a blue color as a boy, right?
Yes.
And you know, one thing I liked a lot about us as queer bodies in that res, Leo, was the war cry. Especially when they go, "Let the lions roar," and all the boys are like, "Ah!" You know what we did? Meow. Meow. Listen, I laughed because listen, they are the lions. We are also lions, but we are the meow.
We're cute lions.
So, one thing that I think we need to get to that, you know what should coming out be like? Just to like close off this part of the video, like, what do you think going forward for kids who are queer and everything, what should coming out be like?
To say it casually, and for me, coming out should not be this grand announcement to the world. Like I came to learn that, and I never wanted to come out to that way.
Yeah.
But and I never did. Sorry.
Yeah.
But it should be a case of the same way people talk about what is your dietary requirements.
True.
I'm a vegan. You know, I don't eat meat.
Oh,
I feel like that's what sexuality
I'm
should
gay.
be about.
I don't eat.
No.
Fill in the blank.
You don't like the pescatarian diet.
You actually make me sick. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Like it should be that casual.
Exactly. And also I feel that coming out should never be a thing of you asking for acceptance. Be like Electra, tell them, you are never the authority to accept me. I'm not here for you to accept me. I'm telling you, this is who I am. This is my affirmation of myself, and you have no power. You should take away that power and tell, this is me. Whether you accept it or not, that's not your place to do, baby.
He doesn't care.
Exactly. So that is the first part of the video. The second part is where you often ask the fun questions about each other so that you know us a little bit more, you know? Yes. So the question is, how did your coming out go like?
I only came out to my mother. Only person. And it just got to a point where I was in grade 10 and I didn't like that the person who gave birth to me did not know the full truth about me.
Yeah.
I was going to therapy. She did not know why. And amongst other things besides my queerness, you know, there was a lot of things going on in my life at the time. And part of it being a workaholic. So I sat my mom down and I was like, Mom, I need to talk to you about something. And I don't like keeping secrets away from you. So this is the truth about me. Yeah. And I came out and I remember her reaction was, I feel like I was a bit disappointed. Maybe it's because I'm a dramatic person.
Yeah, what did
She was just kind of like, oh, okay, go make me tea.
I'm so glad you had that story because with me, I only officially came out to my mom last year. And even how it went about, it was just like, my mom was always just bugging me about dating. Girl, I was going to tell you if I have a man.
Would you?
Somebody like, just give me a man real
But
quick.
you had...
Shut up. A man real quickly. But it just went and say, Mama, this is who I am. I'm never gonna bring a girl home. And my mom was like, oh, I've always known. I just wanted you to confirm. And that was it. To the world, I never came out. I just started talking about boys publicly.
Same.
And just moving on with my life because nobody
with my cousins and siblings, it was a case like, oh, this gender's tiring. Like, what gender? Like, oh, this one I'm just vibing with. Oh, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, that's me. So talking about boys, when was the first time you realized you liked a boy?
Yo! I felt like I was going into a stroke. I was in grade 7. Yo!
Strokes?
He studied at Kingswood College, guys. Yo! It's a private school in my hometown. Mfana, guys. And it was just a case of, this was like, my heart was, this is not normal. I remember, I was so scared.
This is not the normal one.
It was intense. That demo, no? What's the juice?
What's the juice?
Why are you seducing me?
Why?
Oh, he was such a beautiful boy. And I never really approached him or anything. But that's when I was like, you are crazy about this man.
Shame, that's so cute. I think I've told you guys before, the first time I liked a boy was grade 6. He was from a different place. He wrote a note saying, "Be my wife."
Oh.
And
and you wanted to be a
yes!
wife.
I wanted to be his wife so bad.
Tobias.
And then my hand broke and I went to the hospital. When I came back, I had a new girlfriend. Bafana, I started kudala bandravasa.
Since grade 6.
That's grade 6, kudala. Dala sila.
I think just to lighten the mood. I mean, this was very light. Thabo,
Yeah.
love stories are always a mood lightener. I just thought of something, and I wish we could do this.
Yeah.
If you could like thank people in your past,
Yeah.
who have made the coming out or all of that easier, and like just like a few words, man.
To
Like,
people who made it easier.
yes, or if you want to call people out, like I'm petty.
I'm kidding. I'm not gonna call anybody out, but I think the few group of people I want to thank who made everything easier, definitely my debate team from high school.
Oh.
Like the ones I had, my school team and my provincial team. In as much as I was never out to them, they never like had that burden to me to say, "Who's your girlfriend? Go after that girl." You see,
Yeah.
Thank them for never putting me in such an uncomfortable position, because I experienced that quite a lot in other spaces I found myself
True.
in. Who would I want to call? I don't want to call out anybody. And I would want to say, yeah, even my friends, the ones that I made towards the end of matric, even my matric class. Because I think in matric, a lot of people used to say, "You're going to go to uni, you're going to be a wild fucking faggot." And I was like...
You guys did not lie. You called it.
Like, they were like, "This smart boy business is gonna end
an
here.
act.
You're gonna go wild and live your truth." So I think I'd want to thank everybody. Special mentions, Matric, Kani, Kamu, Fernando, because those were the 3 rebels I said in class. So yeah.
I think for me, wow. I want to thank my matric class as well, because I had a moment with them in my first year of varsity. I went back home and they're like, "Oh, so what's happening in your romantic life?" Well, not everyone. These were like people even chill. People I didn't even hang out with. And
Yeah.
I was just like, and then they told me they knew. But the whole thing was, the message was, we knew you were, and we didn't feel like confronting you because it was
Yeah.
none of our business, number one.
True.
And number two, you had a lot going on for you. I was busy, bitches.
Yeah.
So I think I want to thank my matric class for respecting the space.
Yeah,
Giving
true.
me my own space to figure myself out.
True. Everybody be like
Moms,
that.
my mother, guys, oh my gosh. You know, it was a very scary thing to do. Coming
Yeah.
out is scary.
True.
But I think the way she handled it, and I don't know, I mean, I say I'm upset with her whole nonchalantness, but I think that was the best response she could have ever given me. She didn't ask me questions until I was in first year, when she wanted to know what's happening in my romantic life. Like,
Yeah.
which boys are you seeing now?
Okay.
My brother, my little brother, Soms. I don't want to say your full name because the hoes are trying to get you. But like, you also made it super easier. And I also want to thank my mentees when I was in matric, like my grade 8 mentees. Like, oh my gosh, you guys have inspired me to do some crazy cool things, like coming out. I'm kidding. But like, to be fully gay and out
Yeah.
is not easy. And watching you guys do it has been such an inspiring thing to do. And
Yeah.
I look at you guys, I mean, we still talk on Insta now and then, and I love the work you guys are doing. I know you guys are working on, you're doing amazing things. Keep going, sweeties. Keep going. You make me sick! Anyway, please, oh my gosh, that's such a beautiful, fuck you. Hey, look at that.
Guys, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to share to all of your friends. Share the promo videos, the reels, the Facebook posts, the Twitter posts. Let's get Queer Me out there.
And feel free to ask us more questions. Like, I love interacting with you guys on social media. Ask us more questions. DM us on Instagram, on Twitter. Inbox us on Facebook. Y'all be doing a lot of that. Keep doing that. Keep texting Thabo on Grindr. I love it.
Please don't do that. Anyways, guys, until the next video. Mwah, bye. Love you guys.